Good morning, everyone. Today is April 29th, and we are going to be talking about comparative graphs. If you look at this word comparative in it, you see the word compare. That means we are going to be looking at how graphs can be displaying two or more sets of related data. Okay. Now, if I were to ask you how many bars can a bar graph have, what would you say? Well, a bar graph can have any number of bars, but they're usually not going to have that many. The reason being, it's going to become more difficult to compare a great number of bars. So a graph with many bars would be super large. Let's look now at this bar graph. A bar graph needs a title. The title of this one is Average Daily High Temperatures. A bar graph will also include a legend. Okay, a legend shows the names of the different sets of data. Here we have a lightly shaded January and a darker shaded for July. Like other bar graphs, these comparative bar graphs, they can be horizontal or vertical. The average daily high temperature in January and July for 5 cities is displayed in the comparative vertical up and down bar graph below. I want to ask some questions and I want you to focus in here and try and figure out what our answers are, okay? In what city was the average July high temperature highest? So we're going to look at this darker colored here. And the tallest dark blue bar appears where? Right here, above Rome, Italy. The average July high temperature is about, we look here, they're going about 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's about 89 degrees Fahrenheit in Rome. We know it is Fahrenheit because it's denoted over here. What about in which city was the average January high temperature lowest? We're looking for the shortest light, and these, if you had the colored one, it would be a blue, but the shortest light gray bar, that's going to appear above Paris, France. And the average January high temperature, let's see, that's about 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Which city had the smallest range between these temperatures? And then, how do we know? Well, what we're going to look at the smallest difference in heights. And that is occurring right here in Venezuela. Caracas is near the equator, and temperatures in locations near the equator, they're not going to vary much throughout the year. So this city, Caracas in Venezuela, it has the smallest range between these temperatures. And the reason being is because it is near the equator. All right, lastly, for which city is the average January high temperature greater than the average July high temperature? In order to answer this question, we're going to look for the city that has a light gray bar that is taller than its dark gray bar. So where would that be? A light gray bar that is taller than its dark gray bar. If we're looking here, that's going to appear in Sydney, Australia. Now, why do you think it is? Why do you think the average January high temperature is greater than the average July high temperature? Think about hemispheres of Earth. Australia is warmer in January than in July because it is south of the equator. South of the equator, January is going to be their summer and July is in their winter. Look now at a double line graph. Double line graphs show how two or more things change in relation to one another. For example here, the double line graph right here shows the change in population of the cities of Austin and Pittsburgh from the years 1950 all the way to 2000. The legend to the right of our double line graph tells us which line belongs to which city. So Austin is going to have a filled-in dot, Pittsburgh will have the open dot, all right? Approximately, what was Austin's population in 1970? 1970, Austin, and if I look here, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, that's going to be about 250,000. So the line graph with solid dots represents Austin's population, and for 1970, the dot, it's about halfway between 2,000 and 300,000, which means the population was about 250,000. What about approximately how much did Pittsburgh population decrease from 1950 to 2000? Well, the first thing we need to figure out, this is a time period of how many years? 50-year period, okay? Pittsburgh population declined from about, and again, it's going to be the one with the open dots here, about 700,000 to about 350,000. So all we do, we subtract the 700,000 from 350,000. That is a huge decline. So that's approximately 350,000. Wow. Let's look at our lesson practice. If you don't have your book open already, please turn to page 612. And I again encourage you to take notes. So it says, Shinra, Alice, Terrell, and Manuel each wrote 2 stories. The number of paragraphs per story is shown in the table below. So in the table in the book here, we have 1, 2, 3 columns, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. We are going to make a comparative, here's the key here, horizontal bar graph to show the scores. And it says there should be 2 bars for each student. All right, so the first thing that I am going to do, I'm going to get a ruler here. And anytime you make graphs, please use a ruler. If you do not have a ruler handy, use the edge of a book or a piece of paper. All right, so let me make a nice little table here. Table graph. I'm not making this any specific dimensions here. Just making it straight. All right. Now, the kids, their names, I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. I'm saying Shannara. She needs to go up here. The next one is Alice. And then we have Terrell and Manuel. Okay, good. And then at the bottom, this is going to be the number of paragraphs. Okay, so number of paragraphs. All right, and in our table, story 1, story 2, our smallest number, it looks like, is 3, and our largest number is 10. So we'll start this out over here at 0, okay? The best thing to do would be to go in increments of 2. So I can do 2, 4, 6, 8. Now I'm going to use my ruler again, and I'm going to draw a straight line above each increment. And if you were ever asked to make a table on your homework, please do it on a separate sheet of paper. Don't try and cram it into that small box on your homework paper. Just do it on a separate sheet. Now, the directions also say that it should be horizontal, so we're doing that. And then there should be 2 bars for each student. Why should there be 2 bars for each student? Right, because they wrote 2 stories each, and we need to show the score that they got for each story. So then we need to come up with a little legend. Story 1, we can have it maybe with something like this designed, little crosshair looking things. Let's say story 2, and you can do your legend however you want to, as long as you show them being different. And I'll do this one all shaded in, okay? Alright, now it's time to look back at our information here. So here is that. Okay, so we'll start with the Shannara, and story 1 was 8. Okay, so it's going to go to there, and story 1 needs to have these crosshair looking designs. So I'm going to turn this over. Right, I'm going to start right about here. I'll make a little mark here. Okay. Alright, that's 1. What did she get on story? Oh, both stories she did that. So now I'm going to do another one. And this time, story 2, I'll just shade it in. Okay. Good. Alright, so this is showing us that she had 2 stories. Looking at our legend, this is story 1, 8, story 2, 8. Alright. Then we have Alice, and Alice, her first story was a 3. So we do not have a 3 here because we're going by increments of 2. So we're going to put Alice at about in the middle here. And her story 1, story 2. You have to sit here and watch me construct the entire graph. Here is an example of what the completed horizontal bar graph might look like. These are the problems you need to work on. Problem number 2, 4, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 18, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. Have a great day.